Hi there, this is Philip from Beyond the Tabletop. In this video I'm showing you how to make spent ammo casings for 40k. As you can see here, I'm working on my Gorgon armoured transport. I've got these two twin Heavy Stubber guns at the very back of the Gorgon, and I decided to just add a little bit of extra detail by adding in some spent ammo casings. Now these were pretty easy to do and add a great extra level of detail to your models. Also you could add them to dioramas and bases. Now this would work for any gun that takes a kind of solid ammunition, so things like bolters, stubbers and even up to your autocannons. All you'd need to do is vary the thickness of the rod to vary the shell size that you need to make them for. To make the shells you need to start off with some styrene rod. Styrene is just another name for plastic and is similar to the plasticard sheets you can use for scratch building. You can easily get this online from eBay, Amazon and all good hobby stores. Now mine is 1mm in diameter, which is perfect for my Heavy Stubber shells. To work out the length of the casing, I've just measured my model. For some models you can just guess the length of the shell, but mine luckily has the ammo feed on it, so I'm just going to measure mine and work it out. The length of the entire bullet is about 3mm, and then going back to the feed it's about 2mm, but for my casing I'm going to do mine at 2.5mm as that seems a decent length. So to cut the rod to length, I've just used a bit of Tamiya tape. You can of course use masking tape, and I've just made two marks, so I've measured out my 2.5mm in length. So I just need to bring my rod into the first marking, and then I know I can cut down on the second marking, and that will give me the right length that I need. Now these small casings are going to start flying everywhere, so I'm just going to collect them up at the end, and I'm just going to cut a decent amount. Now I'm cutting these upside down purely so you can see them on the camera. It's actually much better to cut it the right way round so my knife isn't backwards, because you'll get a much straighter edge. You just need to try and be as consistent as possible when it comes to cutting the lengths, because you ideally want them to be all the same. Now I'm finding if you cut them down towards the base of the blade, they won't ping around as much as if you cut them from the very tip. So the more further down the blade you go, it seems to be slightly better. Now I've got a pretty decent collection here. I just need to gather them all up, discard any that seem overly long or overly short or have been cut at a funny angle. Now to create that spent casing look, I'm just going to slightly drill out one end just to give it that hollow feel. Now you don't need to drill all the way in, you just need to drill out the very tip, and then when you paint it your wash will create the illusion of depth. So the drill I've got is slightly smaller than 1mm, it's probably about 0.8mm. So using a pair of tweezers, or carefully hold it in your hand, you can line up the drill and then carefully drill out a tiny bit. Now just be careful, because what you don't want is to stab yourself with the drill. If I place the casing on that tape, you can just see the recess on the left hand side, and then you can see the flat edge on the right hand side. So to complete the detail we just need to score a small line all the way around the shell on the right hand side, around about the last 10% of the shell. To do that you just need to lightly press down with your knife and try and roll the rod around so you score all the way around. Now make sure not to press down too much, because you don't want to cut all the way through. So if I hold the other end down, you can see you just need to like press and roll, or score along, roll it, and then keep scoring until you go all the way around. So there I've added in the score, but it's actually really difficult to see. So if I just shade the shell ever so slightly, you can just about see that score line going around. Now with the shell complete, you just need to create as many as you want and then just use some super glue to attach it to your model. Now if we jump ahead, you can see that I've used these shells on my Gorgon transport, this time all painted up. The shells are scattered on the floor of the front, as well as tucked in at the back. As you can see, just adding the little extra details such as drilling out the end makes the shell look more realistic and helps bring the model to life. As I mentioned earlier, you can change the diameter of the rod to represent shells of different caliber weapons. That's all for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you'd like to see other scratch building techniques, let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in other conversion projects, painting tutorials or building guides, make sure you subscribe and click the bell notification for future updates. That's all for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, take care.